My name is Nate Johnson, and I'm a meteorologist and executive producer at WRAL TV in Raleigh, North Carolina.
So, what is your job description here? What exactly do you do?
I like to say that I do a little bit of everything. I'm mostly behind the scenes, do some forecasting, do a little radio broadcasting, taking those forecasts and recording them for a statewide network of radio stations. I also build a number of graphics. I keep the computers running, and every now and again, when the schedule demands, I'll step in and fill in on the air on WRAL.
What's a typical day at work for you?
Well, there's no such thing as a typical day in TV. There are days that sort of mimic typical, but for the most part, it's a different day, different adventure every day. My normal schedule is roughly 9:30 or 10 in the morning until 6:30 or 7 in the evening, and that allows me to sort of act as a bridge between our morning staff, which will be here early in the morning and stay through our noon show, and to be a bridge toward our evening staff, which normally arrive around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and they'll do the forecast for the afternoon and then broadcast at 5, 5:30, and 6. Most days I am coordinating between the weather department, the news department, and other divisions within the building. That's probably one of the biggest functions of my job, is really taking care of all of the administrative things, all of the coordinating of projects and whatnot, and allowing the primary on-air meteorologists that we have to do their jobs, and that is to come in and forecast and then go on TV and deliver that forecast to the folks that watch us every day.
Okay. What do you think the best part about your job is?
It's a hard question, and it sounds cliche, but I really enjoy nearly every part of my job. I get to sort of circulate amongst all of the divisions of the television station, so I get to interact with a lot of different people on a day-in, day-out basis. I get to interact with the computers, which is something I enjoy and have enjoyed for a long time. I also get to interact with the public using our Facebook and social media accounts, and I get to do a little bit of TV every now and again just to stay fresh.
Okay. What is the hardest part about the job?
The hardest part of the job is probably those days when the schedule demands it and I have to step in and fill in for somebody else, for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the scheduling, frankly, when you have to get up at 1 in the morning to be at work, or 2 or 3, is quite frankly brutal. And then beyond that, you're stepping into, when I fill in for Elizabeth in the morning, for example, that's really her role. It's her show, her viewers, but you're sort of stepping in and still communicating the same kind of information, but you're trying to relate to an audience that's used to seeing somebody else, and trying to appeal to everybody and give them what they need at the same time without making a fool of yourself.
All right. Technically speaking, if somebody decided they wanted to do your job or a job like yours, is there anything they should know? Are there any classes they could take? How exactly do you prepare yourself?
Well, obviously you prepare yourself like you would for any career in meteorology in the 21st century. You work toward a bachelor's degree in meteorology. I also have a background in computer science, which certainly helps. And at this point, most meteorology majors include a number of computing classes. I'd recommend shooting for a computer science minor at least. The more comfortable you can be with computers, the better off you're going to be as a meteorologist, because meteorology is so dependent on technology. We've got computer models that run. Of course, satellites and radars are all computer driven these days, and so the more you're comfortable with the technology at sort of a core level, the better a meteorologist you're going to be. There are a lot of different things changing in the field. Broadcasting itself, I think, is changing. We're seeing a shift from folks making that appointment at 6 o'clock every night to sit down and watch the evening newscast. Very few people do that anymore. In the morning, for example, we do WRAL 4 hours of morning news, but the research nationwide suggests that morning show audiences turn over every 15 to 20 to 25 minutes, and so you're talking to a completely new batch of people. And for the most part, folks that are watching in the morning very rarely sit for 4 hours or 2 hours or even 30 minutes. You've got it on in the background while you're getting the kids dressed and getting breakfast made and packing lunches and getting ready for work and everything else. So we're sort of dealing with those dynamics. There's also been a shift in the last few years to separate the content, and that is the newscast, the television shows that we all watch, things like that, from the delivery method. It used to be if you wanted to watch the WRAL news, you had to have a TV. Well, the last few years, you can go to WRAL.com and watch the newscast live on the web. Same thing with weather forecasts and things like that. We're starting to see that split happen in sort of the larger market with the new Apple TV that was just announced recently, with the Google TV box and some of these other items that allow you to watch TV shows without having to even have an antenna or a cable subscription. You just rent them on the internet and you watch them. And so you're sort of separating the content from the medium. We're going to see more of that, and it'll be interesting to see how the TV news business sort of adapts with that. We're also, within the Weather Center, dealing with some of the additions of, social media. Fantastic way, just having recently experienced Hurricane Earl, fantastic way to get information not only in but also out. And for folks that maybe don't have power, that have lost cable, can't get TV over the air for whatever reason, they're too far from the TV station, or the antenna's been knocked down, they may have a cell phone, and so they can get on Twitter or they can get on the internet and find out what's going on in their community by checking a website or a mobile website or tweets or things like that. So we're just sort of rolling with the punches, and I think we're getting to a point now where we're seeing so many of these new technologies that you really have to be flexible and sort of adapt with whichever one is going to allow you to do your job the best. And your job, of course, is forecasting the weather and getting that information out to people that need it, especially in a dangerous weather situation like Earl. TV is a crazy business, and I had a person I used to work with back in Texas who said that for anybody to get into television at any level in any role, you have to be at least a little crazy. And when you see the schedules that folks work typically, it's not so much that it's a demanding schedule in terms of time. I mean, you hear of, associates, junior associates at law firms putting in 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week. It's rare that you're going to do that in TV as a matter of course. You may do that from time to time with a hurricane or severe weather or snowstorms, things like that. But for the most part, the hours are weird, but the amount of time you're going to commit to the job is reasonable compared to a lot of other things. And frankly, you're not digging ditches. I mean, it's a good job. You're inside most of the time, unless you're one of the lucky or unluckily, depending on your point of view, folks that get sent out to cover the snowstorms or the hurricanes or things like that. But there's a certain type of person that does well in a television environment. That doesn't mean you have to be extroverted, but it does mean you have to be comfortable dealing with people and dealing with the public, dealing with folks. It's a very high energy business. A lot of adrenaline from time to time, especially during breaking weather situations. So that's the sort of makeup that tends to make a good person in this business. It's the folks that tend to survive more than 5 years have a lot of those qualities, or they develop those qualities pretty quickly. There are other fields that use a lot of the same skills but don't necessarily require the adrenaline rush that TV can bring. But it's a fun business. I've enjoyed all of my time in a couple of TV stations I've worked, and having circulated through a number of others, working for one of the broadcast vendors. It was a very interesting time. Got to see backsides of a number of other TV stations, which was an interesting experience. And now back here at home in Raleigh.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.